trying to connect.
You don't know who's going to be there like this split second you connect, right?
I know. Hello, everyone.
There you go.
That's right. What's going on, people in Reber Live Land? Reber Live Land, that's really lame. So, check it out. We are going to, you know what we didn't do? What I didn't do, I failed to do it, is I failed to turn off cellular data on the cell phone right now. So let's just hope in the next 15 minutes we don't get a phone call that cuts us off, right? So, anyway, it is nice to see y'all for this week's Reber Live episode. And we're going to talk about consistency, okay? Being consistent. But before we do that, I want to do a couple quick housekeeping things, announcements, whatever you want to call them. So the first is, if you are in Colorado Springs area and you are watching this, today is Monday the 12th. So if you're watching it anytime this week, I want you to know that there is a contractor industry job fair that's being held in Colorado Springs at Heiner Landscapes. All right, and Heiner and Simplify Painting and some others are putting on this event. And basically, there'll be multiple contracting businesses there looking for painters, landscapers, plumbers, candlestick makers. I was seeing if you were paying attention. He totally looked up when I said that. And all that. And the event is from 10 a.m. until about 3 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, September 18th. So if you are in the Colorado Springs area and you are looking for work and think working in the trades might be something that's cool for you, or if you are a contractor and you want to learn more about that event, you can hit me up on Facebook. I'll connect you. You can call Matt Heiner at Heiner Landscapes or Kelsey at simplifypainting.com, and she can help you out with that. All right, so get that out of the way. Not out of the way like it's a bad thing, but just off my to-do list. Second thing is, if you're in the pond and water garden industry, there's a magazine called Pond Trade. See? Pond Trade. And I wanted to give a shout out to my partner in crime, Stephen Shinholzer in the Contractor Sales Academy, my business partner there. He wrote a phenomenal article about cash in, cash out, and the numbers of your business, tracking your expenses, and he shared basically how he does it, and he keeps track of the money and how he keeps his eye on the prize. So if you were in the water feature industry, I highly recommend you pick up a copy of this. Where do you go, right? You go, I'm sure, Google Pond Trade magazine, and you can subscribe to it, and they'll send it to you. Even if you're not a water feature builder, there's still some really good stuff in here, and the Pond Trade team does some amazing things, gives some great content and stuff like that. So, so with that, we will move on to tonight's topic. Drum roll. Okay, consistency wins. Consistency wins. God, I just don't feel right. I left my motor mug in the other room. It's actually dirty and being washed. So not too long ago, within the last year or so, I wrote an article on my blog that was about the two most important words in business. And the first was clarity, and the second was consistency. And so tonight I want to focus on the latter. I want to talk a little bit about consistency and how it will help your business grow stronger. And so in order to fully understand, we need to understand what being consistent really means. And so I want you to think of it just means you're steady, you're stable, you're unchanging, you're reliable. Okay, I can count on it, I can bank on it. There's an old quote, I don't know where it comes from, but it says, a river cuts through a rock not because of its power, but its persistence. And to me, that's a great example of consistency, that you see how the water is slicing through a rock over and over because it's consistently just doing its thing over and over. And so as we talk about consistency in your business here tonight, think of how you can be that water cutting through that rock. All right, so why does consistency matter and how is it going to help you win? That's really the main gist of what I want to talk about. And so I got 4 things that I want to talk about. And I'm not sure if you can see them here because of the glare. There you go. Good. Dakota just shut that off. Okay, you don't really need to see it, but it's there. It's just there. And obviously, I have not done what I needed to do back here to help you guys see yet. Just haven't gotten it done. But number one, the number one reason that I believe consistency matters is it helps create trust. Okay? As a leader in your business, think of what happens if each and every week in your company meeting, hopefully you're having them, you come in and you have a different agenda. You have a different plan. Yeah, we don't need the whiteboard down there. We're good. All right. If you're constantly changing your message as a leader, your team is going to lose trust in you. If each and every week you come in there and you're excited about the new flavor of the day and the new marketing thing and the new this, and you're not holding to the strategy that you committed to and you're not consistent with that, your people aren't going to trust you. I was reminded, I was flipping through some old pictures today, and I have a screenshot. Somebody took a screenshot of Joe Madden, the Chicago Cubs manager. Now, listen, I'm not a huge, I'm a Cubs fan, but I don't watch a lot of baseball. I basically watch it in the playoffs, maybe. But what was cool, why the picture was sent to me, is that Joe Madden, the manager, was wearing a shirt. It was a t-shirt, and it said, do simple better. Do simple better. And I was talking to my stepfather about this. He's actually the one who sent me the picture, and he lives back in Chicago. And he said that was the consistent message all year. That Joe Madden, this was last season, that he came to the Cubs with, and he says, guys, we got to do the simple things better. We have to do the simple things better. And as they did the simple things better, guess what happened, Dakota? What happened? They started winning right there. There, now you can see it in the black part. Okay, good. They started winning because they were believing the message. Their trust was growing in their leader and in the plan that they had. So when we are consistent, it elevates the trust. Second thing, reason that consistency really matters and it's going to help you win, is it's going to help you create accountability in your company. And that's huge. When you have a regular, consistent meeting where you're talking about how we did on the last job and other KPIs, key performance indicators, it's going to help everybody in the organization be accountable. So the last thing you want is your estimator going out there and bidding a job, and we're over budget on the job and you're blaming the crew when it really wasn't their issue. All right? Or the other way around. So by having consistent meetings and things like that, you are going to help create more of a culture of accountability. I had some examples here I'm going to get to. So again, when you're consistent in your actions, then you can also measure the return on investment that you're getting in certain things. So if we're talking about tracking leads and we want to know what marketing strategies and tactics are delivering a positive, ROI, the only way that we're going to truly be able to measure and be accountable is if we're consistently tracking where the leads are coming from, where we're spending our money, and not just where the leads are coming from, but which ones are turning into money. Okay, and that's a great conversation that you should have with Laura Reale from Aqua Reale out in the Philly area. Because she does this consistently, she knows that even though she gets a ton of leads from Google, the majority of her money doesn't come from Google. And so she was able to make some adjustments and some things like that because she was consistent. It gave us accountability on what needed to happen. It helps create this accountability around a strategy that you might have. You know, say you want to work in a certain geographic area and really plant your flag in that area. Well, if you're not consistently tracking the things that are going to give you that data and help you measure things, then how do you know if that or any other strategy works? So hopefully that makes sense. All right. Third thing, that reason that I believe that consistency really matters and will help you win is that small, consistent action over time delivers a big, huge win. Small, consistent action done over time will deliver a bigger win. So before we went live tonight, I was, my button's unbuttoned, it just didn't feel right. Squirrel. Dakota and I were standing here and we pulled up a Roth IRA calculator. Okay, now it's really bothering me because there's like a thread in the way that's preventing me. See, yeah, I'm a stud. I can button my shirt. Look at this. Let's just leave it. Okay. Dakota and I were looking at a Roth IRA calculator, and he is 16 now. And I said, man, you bank a couple $1,000s between now and when you're 18, which is totally doable. When you're 18, you open that Roth IRA with $2,000, and you put the maximum contribution in at $5,500 from the time he's 18 until the time he's 65. And we broke that down of what it was going to look like per month. It was $450, $500 a month, like clockwork, small, consistent action. And go ahead and type in the comments, I'll give you guys a minute, how much money you think would be in that account for this dude here behind the camera by the time he's ready to retire. Any guesses in there?
Just so you know, you got about a 7-second delay.
I got a 7-second delay. Okay.
Approximately 7-second delay to
Okay.
what they say. So it'll take them that 7 seconds, and then whatever is after that.
All right. So we'll give it a minute and see what everybody says here. See if anyone weighs in with their best guess. Nothing yet, right?
2 to 3 million from Dan Osh.
Dan Ock, 2 to 3 million. Okay. Pretty close. Any other guesses?
From our whopping 6.
Yeah, there you go. From the hordes of people around the world that are watching this right now.
5 million.
5 million from Michelle. Michelle Ock? Okay, gotcha.
I don't want to say the last name in case I sound insulting, because I'm terrible with names.
That's all right. So,
and then Gene Marlowe says 1.5 mil.
okay, it's actually $3.5 million. 3.5 from the time this guy here is 18 to turning 65. So even if he will do better this, but even if he only made 55, 60 grand a year for the rest of his life and put 10% into that thing, that small, tiny action totally sets him up down the road when he decides to buy a boat and retire. All right, so too much. All right.
Too much.
All right, so small, consistent action over time pays big. So consistency is absolutely going to help set you up down the road. You know, think of this other action. We've talked about this before, but if I take a business card and 2 times a day, just the working days in the year, and I hand one, no matter what you do, if I hand one, which is a pretty easy act to do, a couple times a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, if I hand out a business card every working day, year round, that's over 530, 540 business cards, seeds that I'm planting. All right, and guys, I got out of my painting company in Chicago back in end of 2011, early 2012, and it's 2016 right now, and a month or so ago, my cell phone rang because I have the same dang number, and it was somebody that I handed a business card to like 7 years ago or some crap like that. All right, so that's happened to me over and over and over. So prospecting is one of those things that it's just this small, consistent action. It doesn't have to be big and scary. It doesn't have to wear you out. Both examples that I've just given are both simple, non-exhausting examples of how you just do those small things repeatedly over time, and they add to bigger and better things. All right, story I've shared here before is I had a builder I wanted to get in with, and every time I drove through the town of Hinsdale, outside of Chicago, every time I drove through that town or near that town, I'd detour into the office of this one builder. I'd walk in and I'd peek my head around the corner, and the lady who worked the desk would peek at me, pull her glasses down, and I'd go, "Did he die yet?" And she's like, "No, he's still our painter." I'm like, "Okay, here's my folder." And I did this, I was 14 to 18 months, consistently, at least one time a month. And it became a joke, and it became this fun, thing between her and I. And guess what? Eventually, their painter ticked him off one too many times, and he didn't need to die because they booted him out and brought us in, because that small little consistent action of mine over time led to lots of revenue for our company. All right, so that totally helps you win when you commit to those small actions. All right, fourth thing that I think is as important, if not more important than everything else. They all kind of work together here. But when we're consistent, it actually helps us build a stronger brand. You build a strong brand. So quality of work and quality of experience that's not consistent, that's up and down, destroys your name. I mean, think about it. You ever have a restaurant that, I don't know how it's going to turn out if I go back there? Because one time I go and it's good and the food's really good. Another time, the food bites, but the service was amazing. Okay, don't be a company like some of those others out there that I know you've been to. All right, you've got to strive to be consistent so that it will build a stronger name for the company that you're building. My painting company outside of Chicago, I was really thinking about this when I was putting this together today. It was rare. I mean, it was as rare as a UFO sighting, okay, that we had a quality issue with our paint jobs. Now, in the early days, we were building our team. We had a lot of them, okay, because we hadn't yet trained everybody, and we hadn't set the expectations, and we hadn't put some processes in place to help us measure and keep everyone accountable. But once we got that ball moving, and the company really started moving along, we had a consistency that I would put up against any other company in the trades, hands down. Okay, but it all started because we approached each project with the same system. I would sell the job and move the file into a Dropbox file that my business partner would then take, and he would read the information, and I had to fill it out the same way and give him the same information every time. And from there, he could move it into the Dropbox folder of the crew leader he wanted to do the job. And then they would we'd have our crew leader meeting, and we would talk about each project that was coming up. We'd talk about each project that we finished the previous week and how did we do on the hours bid and the budget for the job based on what I thought we would do as the sales guy, as the estimator. Okay, and this system, this consistent system that we worked day in, day out, week in, week out, helped us develop an amazing reputation for a company that wasn't cheap, but they always delivered, and it was always a great experience. Okay, and 10 out of 10 times, if we had a quality issue or an experience issue, we were able to sit there and point at the exact place in our process, in our system, that we didn't consistently follow like we did all the hundreds of times before each year or that year. All right, so when you are consistent in these little things that we've been talking about, your name will grow stronger. And then what's cool is the first thing I talked about was trust. Well, when you build a strong brand, people trust the brand, or they distrust the brand, depending on, if I went into a small town and there was, Bob's Auto Repair, and it had, sorry if your name's Bob and you're in a small town and you have a shop like this, I'm going to totally rip on you. But, and there's a couple broken down cars out front and a tire, and it looks messy and all this other stuff. And I look across the street and there's an AutoZone or some other place, what are they, Pep Boys or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to roll my dice with the Pep Boys because they've built a stronger name. Even though this guy over here might do even better work, there's safety in the brand. Okay, so if you want to build a strong company, you got to be consistent and protect your name. So a couple thoughts before we close out tonight on how do we improve our consistency, because this is important. And so it really comes down to creating the right habits. It's the right habits. Okay? You got to choose the habit that's going to lead you to the win that you want, and then commit all out to that habit for at least 3 months. They say, you've heard it takes 21 days to develop a new habit and this and that. Okay, all the data that comes back, the biggest consensus is that it's 66 days on average that it takes to build a new habit so that something just becomes automatic for you. All right, so the things that you want to consistently happen in your company, okay, those habits, you have to commit to those for 66 days minimum. Okay, but don't count the days, just do it for 3 months and it will become second nature. Pick your habits wisely that you're going to choose to really go all in on. All right, so and the cool thing is, once something becomes a habit, it takes less effort to actually accomplish it or have the discipline, okay, because you've put it on autopilot. You wake up in the morning, and if your routine is to walk into the kitchen, pour yourself a cup of coffee, go to the front door, open the front door and look at Pikes Peak like I do and say, "Good morning, Mountain." That is actually a habit of mine, and it's on autopilot. Okay, it's just something that I do. You get up and you brush your teeth before you leave. Okay, you don't even have to think about it. Well, we want to make sure that the things that are automatic, that we need to be consistent in our business, truly become second nature to us. All right, so a couple examples and we'll close out with this. Let's say that you know you need to be more consistent in tracking your numbers. All right, so create the habit, okay, and in the beginning it's going to take the discipline and the willpower and the mental focus and the accountabilities from a partner or whatever it is, because it's going to be harder because you're starting this new habit. But commit to creating the habit that if you need to be consistent in tracking your numbers, that you're going to do a post-project job costing the same day and the same time each week. So maybe it's every Thursday at 4 o'clock, you're going to look at, okay, how did we do in the last project that we did? Or maybe it's, within 24 hours of us finishing a job, I'm going to sit down with my team, my foreman, my office manager, whatever it is. We're going to take 20, 30 minutes and we're going to figure out how we did on that job. It could be as simple as that to create that consistent habit. And then you begin to put the processes in place, like I was sharing earlier, how we move things into Dropbox, when we had things to fill out. We had people report on those things, but you have to stick with it. You can't let yourself off the hook. Or another example, what if you have to be more consistent in your estimating? That's a huge one. And on this show and my podcast and other things, we're going to be spending a lot more time talking about estimating, by the way. Because I see guys will bid a job and then they'll bid another job that's kind of the same thing, and they're all over in their price and their time because they don't have a consistent way of looking at a project. And that's not good. Back to it, you're not going to create any accountability. How do you know if your team is doing a good job if you're not consistent as an estimator? All right, so if you need to be more consistent as an estimator, dedicate yourself to following the same process over and over and over when you look at a job. Okay, my thing was, if I was bidding the exterior of a house, every house, I started in the front and I worked the trim. Then I worked the siding. Then I counted up the windows and the types of the windows and the doors. And I took my notes in a certain order and I moved to the right side of the house and I worked my way around to the back, then to the left. And then if they had a deck they wanted to be done or anything that was, out of that ordinary system, that was the last thing that I would look at. And I did it every single time on every single estimate. Okay, and that consistency is going to help you measure things properly, build accountability in the business, also earn more trust with your team, and have more confidence in your own numbers when you come up with something. All right, so check it out. I'd like to hear from you in the comments, and we're not going to hang around for them tonight. All right, but if you're watching this, share with us what areas you feel you need to improve in when it comes to being more consistent. Okay. And let's have some conversation about that stuff so that we can help one another here. Maybe we do another Reber Live or a podcast or something that'll help certain issues if I'm seeing a theme that's popping up with y'all. But I'd love to hear from you in those comments about ways that you can be more consistent. All right, Dakota's laughing back there. What's happening?
Dead ox. says, cool black shirt, tough tattoo, and pink straw.
I'm just confident, man. It's funny, when I didn't have the motor mug, it's funny you bring that up. I actually grabbed this and I looked at it and I considered losing the straw, Dan. I really did. And I'm like, no, I'm keeping the straw. I'm just going to be me. So there you go. All right, y'all. So check it out. Appreciate you hanging out tonight. Remember, be like that river that cuts through the rock. Not because it's all powerful and all knowing and strong, but it's just consistent. It's persistent. It keeps showing up day in, day out, week in, week out. And when you do those little things right over time, you're going to have big wins in your business. Appreciate you guys hanging out tonight, and Reber Live is out.